Guys, welcome back to another interesting tutorial. This is Ajulam here. Thank you so much for coming around. If you're new to my channel, you're welcome. Kindly subscribe and turn on the bell icon so that you know anytime I post a new video. So for my returning subscribers, thank you so much. So for today's tutorial, I'll quickly share with us on how to cut and sew a baby girl dress with a lace applique. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Here I have some leftover fabric which I'll be using to make this dress. As you can see, here is my net. Like I said, it's a leftover. I'm going to use all this to make this dress. This is my satin and my lining, and as well as the lace applique. And I'll be using a 6-month-old measurement to make this dress. So if you want to make this dress, all you need is just your 3 yards of net, your 1.5 yards of satin, your 1/2 yard of lining, and as well as your lace applique. So I'm going to start by drafting a basic bodice for a 6-month-old, and I'm going to do that quickly before we now continue with this dress. So here, as you can see, I just drafted a basic bodice. This is for 6-month-old, like I said earlier. So now we are going to alter these parts so that we can make the dress. Now from the thumbnail, you can see that it's an off-shoulder kind of neckline. So to do that, I'll just mark at this point now. This is the midpoint, the armhole midpoint. I'll check whatever I have from there. That is 2 1/4. And then I'm going to bring it down here and connect it to a straight line. This will not be a guide for you to know where your neckline should be. That is for the off-shoulder neckline. Okay, so now this is where I'll be making the neckline. So to do the neckline, you can decide to make it square or round. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. So the next thing to do is to determine the off shoulder, and to do that is very simple. All I'm going to do now is to bring whatever I have here as my neck width. I'm going to bring it down on this line. So remember, we're using 2 inches, so this is the point there. So I'm going to take my French curve and just connect it from this armhole line. Okay, can just place it this way and connect it back to that armhole line as I am doing. And now this is what we have. So here now I'll just go down by 1/2 inch. You can also go down by 3/4, but I'll just make it 1/2 inch because it's for a small baby. Okay, so now I'm going to connect. This is now the new neckline. Okay, so now if you're cutting, you will just cut off this way, and that is how to, you know, alter this bodice part to an off-shoulder bodice. So now the next thing to do is to note whatever that you have here to this point. Okay, by the time I'll be sewing, I'll let you know why you should note this part. So now I'm going to take this now and cut it out. And I'll also cut the back side same way. The only difference now is that I'll add my 1 inch for my zipper allowance, and then I'll cut off 1/2 inch on this waist part. Okay, I believe you know how to do that. You can also check out my video on how to draft the basic bodice for a baby girl. You will get to know how to go about all that. So now I'll quickly cut this off and then we continue. So here I have my paper. I'll be cutting out a little flare for the lower part. As you can see from the thumbnail, the satin there, I'll be cutting this out because I have like I said earlier, these are just leftover fabric, so I need to cut it out so that I'll now place it on it and cut it the way I want it. So now I'm going to mark out 10 inches as the radius because I'll be adding a little ruffle to this. Okay, so I'm going to mark that all around, and I'll be making the length of this to be 5 inches. The length of the lower part in total is 11 inches, so I want this to be very small. Okay, so I'll just mark out 5 inches now, and then I will cut, then place it on my fabric and cut all out. Then we'll now start the sewing part of this dress. I have everything all cut out. I'm going to start with the upper part, and then I will take my lace applique. Now remember that the bodice length is 7 inches, so, and remember that this is going to go through the back as well. So I'm going to cut out 14 inches of this plus 1 inch for sewing allowance, that is 15 inches. So I'm going to cut that out for both sides, and then I'll keep it aside. Okay, so here is 15 inches. Like I said earlier, it will go around to the back side, and this is what you will have. It's going to be like this on that part. So I'm going to cut this again for the other side. Okay, so now the next thing to do is to start with the upper part. I'm going to take my lining now and place it on top, and then sew. I'll sew it together. Now you see the way I placed it. So I'm going to sew. This is the front side. So now I am going to sew it this way and close up this armhole, and I'll repeat the same on the back side, and then we continue. So here I have them sewn. As you can see, this is the back and this is the front. Okay, so I'm going to take the applique now and place it the way I want mine to be. You can also decide how to place yours. Okay, so I'll be placing it this way now. Okay, and for the applique you can decide to use the one that is bold than this. Okay, I prefer this because this is just for a little baby. So I'm going to place it this way now. On this point I'll use my machine to stitch it. You can also use your hand needle and just stitch it here, and I will just pin all this part because by the time we join the lower part it's going to hold this place. So I'm going to pin this now and also repeat the same for the back one. Okay, so this is how it's going to be. Let me just stitch it now and then we'll continue. So this is what I have after stitching it at this end, and I also stitch it at this armhole area. This way it will not be moving around. I also repeat the same on this back side. So this is how it looks at the back, and this is the front. So the next thing to do now is to close the sides together, and before I do that, I'm going to add a little band to this front side. I'm going to pin this now, and then I'll close the side. Then we'll continue with the lower part of this dress. So after joining the sides, this is what it looks like. This is the back and this is the front. So I'm going to take my satin now and fold it same way you fold when you want to make a 180-degree flare, and then I'm going to cut out. That is where I'll be sewing my nets. Okay, if you're a returning subscriber, you should know this part. The way you fold and add your net if you don't want to use hard net. So I'm going to do all that quickly. So here is my satin. I just cut it out using the method that I just explained now. So I'm going to add my net. Like I said, these are leftover fabrics. I'll just join them on this part before I'll now add the one that will be on top. So I'm going to join all this on this place. This side I'm going to sew it in because I don't want to use hard net. So I'm going to just mark maybe say 5 inches. Okay, I'll just do all that calculation and see how many lines will be enough for me to add all these leftover nets. So this is what I have here. As you can see, I just finished joining the layers. To see more on how I did all these parts, you can check out my video on how to make a ball gown fluffy without hard nets. There you will get to see step by step on how to make it even more fluffier than what I have here. So the next thing to do now is to take the part that is like the peplum, and then I'm going to join it together with this on the waist area. And then I will take the upper part and join it, and you can see that it's so easy and simple, and the dress is ready. So for the back, you can just choose to add your bow or however you want the back to look. Then you add your lining and then your zipper, and it's easy as simple as that. So that is it for today. Please subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all soon.